What is up, guys? So I've got a Shaddolls Invoked deck profile for you here today. This was actually the meta deck I was playing for a long time before COVID. Yeah, this is the one of the few decks that I profiled. I actually have it in real life as well. But yeah, this deck is awesome, and I still think it's really good, this format. Obviously, it's a bit overshadowed at the moment by things like Adamantium and such, but it's still a really strong deck. And one of the things I really like about it is there's just so many starter cards. If you see like your Shadow Fusion, your Invocation, and an Alistair in hand, for example, you can play through so many gates, and it's great. The deck also is just really good at getting through its resources, getting around. It's just good at dealing with a variety of board states that your opponent just can't really deal with, and yeah, everything about it is great. You can also build in a lot of different ways. I go for a more kind of pure build, if that's so I don't play a dedicated light engine, and I do have my reasons for that, but yeah, I really do like this deck, and I do think it's definitely a good one to pick up. So let's get into that build. So we start off with 2 Shadow Beast. Shadow Beast, really good monster. Obviously, he's going to be providing a lot of your draws. He's also going to be doing better draws if you get him on the field. But yeah, really good card. You're happy to see him. If you're confused with him, it's a good situation because you're just getting the result straight back from the deck. I play 1 dragon, though what I've started to do in some of my decks and tried it out, and it hasn't been bad, is play 2 dragon and only 2 squamata instead of 3 squamata and 1 dragon. Just because more and more decks are doing nonsense with Buster Warp in the back row. And so if you can get a dragon in your hand and then send him via a spellbook of knowledge or something, or even if your opponent destroys it, for example, you can get that pop and then actually get to play the game, which is quite nice. But yeah, playing the Shadow Dragon, 3 Squamata, main reason being just filling up your graveyard is quite nice, and also being able to access any Shadow you want is also great. He's also got a nice effect on field, obviously, to bounce a monster if he's flipped. So one of the things I like about Shaddolls is that, yeah, you actually do punish your opponent if they attack into set cards. Even if they pop your set cards, they do get punished for it, so your opponent has to be a bit more careful when they're trying to dismantle your board, even on the defensive. And funnily enough, I go second more often than I go first with this deck, because even though it can put up an okay board going first, it can play through so many negates easily that I don't mind going second without playing any hand traps. It's just that good of a deck. I really do enjoy it. But yeah, moving on, we have 3 Alistair the Invoker, main star of the deck. You always want to see him in your hand. There was a point before when I was playing King of the Swamp. King of the Swamp is a really good card to play in this deck just because he provides polymerization in the graveyard or in your hand. He can be treated as Alistair the Invoker, but I did end up cutting him again. Like I said, I want to make a more pure version, but yeah, definitely still a really good card, Alistair the Invoker. Always want to see him. As soon as you see him, I mean, you've got so much recursion and so much looping that it's so hard for most decks to keep up. Moving on, play 1 Nail Shadow Ariel. Wow, that name, what a shock. But yeah, she's really good card. Her effect to banish 3 cards from your opponent's graveyard is insane. I mean, even now, if you can resolve this effect even on your opponent's turn as well, after they've sent something key like a Block Dragon to grave, or they send their Eldritch, it's just insane. You can really just cause huge amounts of issues for them. I mean, cards like this, they're always so underrated, but it's like, that's why DD Crow, I mean, banishing 1 monster is insane, but it's like having a card that lets you banish 3, oh my gosh, that's insane. But then her second effect of special summoning and banishing all monsters has become incredibly good because of Shadow Schism. I mean, having that card now means that you can easily get constructs that are banished and stuff using the Resh, which is really nice. So I do love this card as well, really good card, and I definitely would not take it out of my deck. I wouldn't play it more than 1, but I wouldn't remove it from my deck. Moving on, we play 3 Shadow Wendy, good card. She's just like the new Falco, basically the new better Falco, because she's going to be summoning directly from the deck, which is nice. Basically, no matter what happens with her, she's getting a Shadow from the deck from you, which is amazing. Then we played the 1 Hedgehog. Hedgehog is nice just because he's the only one that can actually search our spells and traps, and also my version is a bit different, obviously playing Resh, which means that I feel like things like Hedgehog become a lot more worth to play just because I know I'm going to be able to activate his effect if I really need it. We've got Shadow Chaos. I really like Chaos just because he's light, and that's the main reason I play him. In Invoked, I don't feel like I need an independent light engine once my Invoke engine gets going, but before that, having access to Chaos is just amazing because it really means that I have a light already in my Shadow deck, so I can get into that construct and start looping. Once you have 1 construct or 1 Alistair on the board, you've got infinite lights pretty much because of the deck. But before that, the Chaos is lovely. I also like his effect of boosting your Shaddolls attacks. It doesn't come up much, but when it does come up, I found it to be extremely powerful because you can do things like send something like a beast to graveyard, and now your construct is at like 33 attack. It's going to be beating over most things if it can't destroy them normally. So yeah, really do like Chaos, and I do think as a one-off he is worth playing. Play one Falco as well. Falco's a great monster. Obviously he's not as good as before because of Wendy, but he's nice to making sure you don't die. I think that's one of the things I like the most. If they attack into a Falco, I mean, it's just this loop, then now another monster comes in. It's amazing. I'm gonna play one Spellbook Magician of Prophecy because obviously I'm playing a Blue Boy engine in this, a very small one, but a Blue Boy engine nonetheless in this deck. Then we've got 3 Allure of Darkness. Got so many dark cards. We don't really mind banishing any of them, so definitely want to have 3 Allure of Darkness, 1 Spellbook of Knowledge, which is going to be, for obvious reasons, just getting rid of your... It's really good for you to use it with your Shaddolls, really good with your Blue Boy. You can even use it with your Alistair, whatever you see with Spellbook of Knowledge is great. To be honest, I could probably have even just played 1 Secrets and 2 Knowledge. I wouldn't even have had to have gone with Spellbook Magician of Prophecy, but it is nice to make the engine a bit more consistent because you don't have that many normal summons in this deck. But yeah, moving on, we play 3 Shaddoll Fusion, one of the best cards in this deck. Obviously going to be setting you up for your plays. Once you've got this on the field, yeah, you're doing well. You're in a good position, unless your opponent ashes it. But yeah, other than that, I mean, Shaddoll Fusion is just such a good card to have, and its synergy with Magical Meltdown, preventing your opponent from like Solomon or anything like that, is also very nice. You can stun your opponent and then destroy a bunch of cards, for example, because of Dragon and stuff like that, which is really, really good. Play 1 Pot of Avarice. I do think Avarice is actually really necessary in this deck. I wouldn't be shocked if I started dumping that up to 2 or 3. It's just such a good card, and this deck, I think that's the main weakness that I find. In the grind, you go through your extra deck so quickly that you sometimes end up with no cards, and then you're screwed because you can't actually fusion summon. So I do think at least 1 Avarice is necessary, if not 2 or 3. I mean, yeah, really, really good card for this deck. So I definitely would recommend playing it. And that's what this deck is. This deck, it can OTK, but its power level isn't so high that it will consistently always be punching through your opponent's boards. It's more about grinding them out of the resources, slowly popping things off, slowing the game down with Winder, things like that. And so that's why I really do think cards like Avarice that are for the mid and long game are important in a deck like this. Play 1 Upstart to make it 39 cards. Terraforming, just another copy of Meltdown. 3 Invocation. So yeah, I mean, for the longest time now, I think my ratios with Alistair decks, with Invoked decks, have been 3 Invocation, 3 Alistair, and 3 Meltdown. You just always want to see Invocation. You're never unhappy to see it, to be honest. But even in a situation when I saw too many fusion spells, I would still rather have that. I'd rather take something like El Shaddol down to 2 than take Invocation down to 2 because it's such a good fusion spell. Got the 1 Monster Reborn, really, really good. It's going to be amazing. I mean, you've got 2 great cards. Both Orgoides and Construct have amazing effects on special summon. Though, not only them, because obviously Apcoloni, but those 2 have really, really good effects on special summon. So they're going to be good with Monster Reborn, and just in general, because it's a good card. We've got with 3 El Shaddol Fusion, nice for bringing up those windows or Apcolonies in your opponent's turn, or Construct if you really, really need to. But yeah, great card to have. Yeah, like I said before, this would be the only card I would take down to 2 out of the fusion spells because it is a good card, but in my opinion, yeah, sometimes it does break. So it isn't as proactive as the other 2, and it doesn't. Shaddol Fusion can be activated if you don't have anything, as long as your opponent has a monster. Invocation, use your graveyard. This doesn't do either, but it's a quick effect, which is nice. But if I really want it, I can see it. But for now, I think I'll keep it at 3 and see how it goes. Moving on with the 3 Meltdown, of course, amazing, one of the best field spells in the game. Guys, I'm going to be doing a top 10 field spells video soon, so stay tuned for that. And this card, I'm telling you, is probably gonna make the list because it's just insane. But yeah, really, really good field spells, so definitely gonna be playing 3 Meltdown. And moving on to Shaddolls Incarnation. So I didn't like this card before, but now that I've changed my build up a bit and I'm playing things like Chaos, I do really, really like Resh. I do think it's a lot better. It's also nice with Shizm as well, again, because I think cards like Ariel to be able to special summon a card for free just because you have a Resh Engrave. I mean, there's a pretty nice OTK combo you can do with Burrow Sword, with Ariel into Burrow Sword, just because as long as you have a fusion spell in your hand and you can get an Ariel on the field and Resh Engrave, you can use the Resh to bring something back that's Spanish that you can link off, that you can fuse, and it's just lovely. Everything about Resh is lovely when you factor in Shaddol Rook as well. So yeah, I do think it's worth now playing at 1, but it is one of the cards that I will always side out first because it's a great card when your opponent's not expecting it, but once your opponent's expecting it, they're not gonna put themselves in a position where they're gonna get OTK'd easily because of cards like this anymore. But it's still a really, really good card, and I do recommend having it maybe at 1 or putting your side deck. Then Rook. Rook is an insane card, basically meaning now I have 2 fusion ways of fusing by banishing from Brave, which is really, really powerful. It also means things like when Alistair gets locked off engraved because my invocations keep getting stopped. Well, now I can use Rook to banish the Alice to bring out a window, and now I can keep looping again. But yeah, Rook is an amazing trap card. The only reason you don't play it more than one is because Shaddolls can so easily recycle it and it's unlikely to get banished, but it is a really good trap card, and yeah, Shaddolls definitely have seen a big increase in strength as a result of it. Then moving on to the extra deck, so pretty standard ratios I would say for Shaddolls extra deck. So we've got the 1 Almirage, 1 Gardener for the Alistair package. Also Gardener's nice, obviously giving us an extra light to use to go into that Macabre. Then we've got the Cross Sheep. Cross Sheep is amazing because in this deck you're fusion summoning all the time and you have a lot of random fodder on the field sometimes, so it's nice to go into Cross Sheep just to build up into that Portal Sword for OTKs. Alistair the Invoker of Madness. On my invoked profile I did show a kind of crazy combo you can do with this. Well, it's not really a combo, it's what is the whole point of the card, but basically you're activating fusion spells under Invoker of Madness, and then as long as you have cards in your hand you can just keep adding invocations and keep fusion summoning, which is just mad. Really nice card to have in this deck as well. We've got the 1 Kaliga. Kaliga combos well with Cross Sheep as well. Obviously you're gonna link into the Cross Sheep, then fusion summon again, Cross Sheep will bring back Kaliga. Now your opponent's locked out of effect, so really nice if you pair this with like a Window or Gawades. Really good card. Got the 2 Winder, very good card. Beats a lot of decks, to be honest. If you chain this to a lot of decks to summon things like a Fleur de Lis, for example, change this to Fleur de Lis, they bring up Fleur de Lis, now they're locked out, they try and attack you in battle phase, your Invoker's going to give Window another 1,000 attacks and not beating go for it. Yeah, really good card. At Colony, another really great card. What I like about this is the fact that you can negate a face-up card in the field permanently. It's not as long as this card is on the field, it's not to the end of the turn, it just negates a face-up card, and that effect is insane because you really slow down some decks, especially when you have decks that are gaining counters and stuff like Kaiju Waterfront and stuff. By putting the thing on that, now your opponent has to clear it. You don't even have to waste another resource dealing with that card, your opponent has to deal with it, which is really good. So I love Akaloni, really good card. His second effect is also amazing, just to kind of allow you to recycle Shaddolls. I would probably play him at 2 if I had more space, but yeah, really good card. 1 Purgatrio for OTKs, or Gawades, another really good card. It's a fairy as well, funnily enough, but really good card. Gawades just does the job, so in terms of clearing cards on the field if you can't clear them. So between Gawades and Construct, it's unlikely you're ever going to come across a monster on the field that you can't somehow out, which is really nice because you've got that damage step destruction, then you've got just regular target destruction. And then Gawades plus Kaliga is just a really nice board where your opponent, as soon as they put something on board, it's just going to get popped by it. So yeah, really nice card. And then we got the 2 Construct because it's the main boss monster and the best card in Shaddolls. And then we've got 2 Macabre, another really good card for your invoked board. Then for my side deck is really just geared towards whatever I need for that particular matchup. So game 1, obviously, I don't know what I'm against. I'll just play how I want. Then once I know what I'm against, each side deck card is for a specific matchup. So for like those Eldritch and back row matchups, we've got the Evenly and the Storms, really good cards. You can play Twister instead of Lightning Storm if you haven't got the cash for it, because it's mainly for back row removal. I'm not really using it to deal with cards in the front because you've got Purgatrio, you've got ways to deal with monsters in the main deck. But yeah, then we've got the 3 Dark Rulers. This is almost exclusively for like Adamant Spear, Info Nobles and stuff like that. Really good card against them. Super Poly is good generically against most decks because of the deck you're playing. You can either normal summon Alistair or normal summon any of your Shaddolls, just Super Poly, and now they're screwed, they can't do anything. In the mirror matchup as well, it's insane. If you're against the mirror and they don't know you're playing Super Poly, they're finished because you'll just steal the whole board and get something 3 off it, which is nice. And we've got 3 Mystic Mine. This card is busted. Look, if you're not playing Mystic Mine right now, I don't care if you hate it. If you want to win games, play the card because it's busted as hell and it's doing the job in this meta right now. I mean, there's so many games now that I'm winning because of Mystic Mine. It's just so OP. It's so OP where you get on your opponent, can't activate any effects. But guys, that is my Shaddolls Invoked deck profile. This is a really fun deck. I might have some replays. I might have some in-person replays of this, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, I'll talk to you all soon. Peace.